afternoon, Charl, and welcome. Charl is an independent financial advisor at Private Wealth Management in Bloemfontein. Charl, tell us a little bit about your investing background and what led you to become a financial advisor.
Thank you, Marinus, and thank you for the opportunity. It's actually quite an interesting story. I had the option to become a chicken farm manager or join then Old Mutual as a financial planner. My dad said, please don't become a polis mouse. So that's quite interesting, but that's where it started. So in 2009, I joined the financial industry. And since there, I've not looked back, and I've enjoyed every moment of making a difference in clients' lives.
What is your investment philosophy?
So, Marinus, from my side is I use building blocks within investment strategies. So what I'll do is I will build in short-term income funds and build it all the way down to full-out equities, and in between a little bit of everything to make sure that the client receives a smoother experience when there's market volatility, and also to get to the client's outcome, and that at the end of the day is performance.
Okay, yeah, that's great. I think that's a great idea. Or strategy at the end of the day as well. So how did you first hear about Peregrine Capital and what attracted you to invest with us?
Marinus, so one day I was in my previous employ and it became very dark suddenly. And then Marinus walked in 6'7", 130 kilograms, and I just knew, listen, I'm either going to talk to him or I'm going to run. So that's how it started. And then the relationship just broadened. And I think the main importance for me by joining or making Peregrine part of my solution was the risk-adjusted returns that was offered through them. And I must say, we tested the waters initially, small investments.
I remember.
And we are now fully fledged, committed to make sure that we allow a large chunk of our clients' money within Peregrine into two funds.
I mean, Charl, nowadays there's also a lot of hedge fund managers out there. What attracted you to choose Peregrine Capital above the other hedge fund firms out there?
So one of the main reasons were we had a footprint, or Peregrine had a footprint in Bloemfontein, which is a small plattelands town. And that was one of the main reasons we had started, and then the relationship built. With that said, if you look at performance isn't everything. It's reducing the volatility to get you to the performance side. So you can have other hedge funds, and I'm not saying there's bad hedge funds out there, that runs a lot higher returns maybe, but the risk involved with it is something that I'm not comfortable to expose my clients to.
And how has your experience been so far working with Peregrine Capital?
It's been amazing. You can test it, you can trial it, and you can look at backdated data, but at the end of the day, you need to go through cycles, whichever, would it be local economy, whether it be global issues, and then you see the request from clients going like, why do I only have the following percentage in Peregrine? Shouldn't I have more? And that is something that says we're making the right choice for clients.
Charl, you've attended lots of Peregrine Capital sessions. Are there any specific aspects of Peregrine Capital's approach you find valuable?
So Marinus, if you look at one of the main things in the sessions that I feel really comfortable with is it is not a pre-planned to the dot session. So it's not something that's pre-populated in a PowerPoint presentation. It is a session that is allowed to flow, and the fund managers and the team is really open to questions, even difficult questions, and allow it to flow. And I like that a lot.
That's true. How does investing with Peregrine Capital fit into your broader investment strategy for growing and protecting clients' wealth?
Okay, as I mentioned slightly earlier, I use building blocks. So I'm going to use the two Peregrine funds. The Peregrine P I use in my second drawer, and that is the funds that I'll be using in 3 to 5 to 6 years from starting point. And then I would use your Peregrine High Growth is my fourth building block, which is, I would say, just below flat out equities. But if we look at the actual returns, it's actually performing a lot better than that as well. And as I said, returns are not everything, but it talks a lot. But the fact that we've got a reduction in risk or a lower volatility within the client's portfolio, that's what I am really comfortable with.
And I mean, Charl, you've been investing now for almost 5 years in our Peregrine Capital's hedge funds. What has been the most significant benefit of partnering with Peregrine Capital for your clients?
Safety, growth. At the end of the day, that's what matters, is protect them when things are tough.
For sure.
And also run with the markets when the markets do run.
I remember back in 2022 when the war broke out, and well, not us, the market experienced a lot of volatility. What was some of the feedback from your clients during that time when you had to review a client in that volatile times? I mean, all the clients was, quite, let's call it, worried about what's going to happen. It's not just in the South African market, but as well as it affected the global market as well. What was the experience there for you?
I can remember it was one night when it happened. One of my top clients actually sent me a message, and it was, "Charl, are we going to be okay?" And at that point in time, I remember rewriting the WhatsApp like 7 times, starting like, "Oh goodness, it's the end of the world, we're going into World War, whatever," and ending up where, "Listen, we've got a strategy, we've got everything in place, let's just allow things to roll out and everything will fall into place." And that specific client came and we did a review probably about 2 to 3 weeks later. And we went through the portfolio, and yes, there were certain impacts, but he turned around and says, "How do we move some of this into the following funds?" And those are the things that's important to me, where a client actually turns around and says, "Listen, I want more."
Charl, can you share any success stories with us?
So Manus, I'd like to make use of one success story where I had a slightly older gentleman that was referred to me by an accounting firm that said, "Listen, we've got a massive interest tax implication, we need to help." And it is a slightly older client. And once having a conversation with the client, we understood that the money wasn't required for income, the money is not required for usage, there's enough reserves, this is an inheritance for family members. But we were slightly scared of full-out equity markets. So we made use of the Peregrine Pure Fund. So immediately we made a huge difference in the income tax or the interest tax implication in the client's portfolio. And the client turned around and said, "Is it possible that I've got so much money 1 year later where at the bank I had the following?" So those are the success stories that we can look into. And there's so many, I just made mention of one.
Have you received positive feedback from your clients that's been investing the past few years in our funds?
We do. They keep on telling me, "Charl, that Falcon fund of yours, please make sure that the new money goes into the Falcon fund." And that's the Peregrine Falcon, so that's what we're talking about. But when we started, that was still your logo, and that's where everything started. So I explained it, "Listen, it's the fastest attacking or the fastest flying Falcon in the world." Exactly. And this is how quick Peregrine moves when markets changed. And I mean, we've just gone through the tariff wars with Donald Trump in America, and with the feedback that we got, how the investment team actually moved around within all of this means that they are still making quick moves and attacking the quickest.
If you have to describe Peregrine Capital in just a few words, what would that be?
Performance and stability, all in one word, which is difficult.
That's what client wants at the end of the day.
That's what client wants at the end of the day. But it's a difficult conversation because in normal aspects, you can't have the one without the other. You need to take on risk to get the growth, or you need to take on less risk, but then also you don't have the growth element involved with that. And what I can say about Peregrine is it's giving us both.
Any final thoughts from you, Charl, that you want to share it with us?
I am looking forward to a long-standing relationship with Peregrine. And Peregrine is a tool in my toolbox. It is not the only tool. So it's important to remember that it forms part of my value proposition that I offer towards clients, and it forms a massive part of that value proposition.